is Win News.
Tonight, Hazelwood fronts the media as the mine fire enters a fourth week. Extra help on the way as Morwell residents rally in the town. And claims relocated koalas are starving to death. Good evening, I'm Bruce Roberts. Also tonight, a major breakthrough in the firefighting effort in East Gippsland. The head of Generation at Hazelwood has defended his company's fire prevention methods, but Luke Dietwurst refused to comment on whether GDF Sewers will pay compensation to those affected by the mine fire or cover any of the firefighting costs. It comes as calls mount for an independent inquiry.
GDF Sewers has fronted the media for just the second time since the fire started 3 weeks ago.
We really sympathise and acknowledge the problems the people of Morwell are encountering.
It comes amid claims from unions the fires could have been prevented.
This was a fire that was totally preventable.
Victorian President of the CFMEU's Mining and Energy Division, Luke van der Meulen, says the generator should have learnt its lesson after the 2007 fire.
The simplest inquiry could have told them that what you need to do is get rid of the batters, cover them over with dirt, and you won't have any more fires.
He's joined calls for an independent inquiry.
If we don't make sure that there's a fair income, independent inquiry...
GDF Sewers says it has nothing to hide and would happily front any inquiry.
We remove old pipes, we remove old infrastructure the moment we do rehabilitation.
But the company wouldn't be drawn on any talk about compensation, either for smoke-affected residents or fire services.
The focus is on extinguishing the fire.
Both the company and the authorities have denied growing speculation the fire actually started in the mine.
No, not that I'm aware of.
Certainly not to my knowledge.
Efforts are continuing to attack the fires from the air and the ground.
We put the aircraft tenders in first to wash that batter down and cool it slightly. Then we put the CAFS foam or the compressed air foam over that, and then we have crews come up behind that to blacken. Extra resources are being brought in ahead of difficult weather conditions over coming days. It's like eating an elephant. It's a little bit at a time. It really is.
Brooke Van Newton, Win News.
Premier Dennis Napthine has returned to Morwell to offer more help to residents looking to relocate away from the smoke. Yesterday, more than 1,000 people rallied in the town accusing the government of doing too little. Brooke Van Newton continues our coverage.
Day 23 and Dennis Napthine finally put his money where his mouth is.
The Victorian Coalition Government is establishing a $2 million fund to provide direct assistance to businesses who've been adversely affected by the coal mine fire.
The fund will be administered by the Victorian Employers' Chambers of Commerce and Industry.
And it'll make grants of between $1,000 and $10,000 available to businesses who have less than 20 employees.
Personal hardship and relocation grants of $1,250 are also still available, while 45 vacant holiday homes have been registered. Scouts Victoria has made available hundreds of beds at its camps across Victoria, while Morwell residents are being offered free entry to the Melbourne, Werribee and Hillsville zoos. Yesterday, more than 1,000 people packed Kernot Hall for an update on the fire situation.
We are being successful and we'll get this fire out.
I want to reassure you that this is not a matter of months, but we expect that in weeks there will be a substantial reduction in the fire area.
But it was health that topped the agenda.
The children of Morwell are sick. The adults of Morwell are sick. It has now become normal in Morwell to be suffering from smoke inhalation.
We can force government to declare this a national disaster. The Health Act says so.
The bottom line is we are very concerned about people's health. I want to see more support being given. I want to see people being given accurate advice. And to say that there are no long-term health impacts is just wrong.
Former GP and public health specialist, now Green Senator Richard Di Natale, is among those critical of the government's response.
What we should have seen is an orderly evacuation of vulnerable people.
Outside, residents rallied from Kernot Hall to Mid-Valley.
The whole of Latrobe Valley needs help now!
Brooke Van Newton, Win News.
And hundreds of smoke-affected Morwell residents have already taken advantage of free train travel to and from Melbourne. V-Line is issuing free return tickets for its 18 train services throughout the week. Morwell buses will also run free of charge for commuters heading to and from the station. Ballara's annual folk festival has played host to busloads of Morwell residents. Residents were offered a day of respite away from the smoke and ash billowing from the mine.
One after the other, buses of Morwell residents arrived at the festival, seeking a day of respite.
And we're just pleased that we could help out and get the people out of Morwell for that day. And our air is always good out of Ballara, of course, and no exception on Saturday.
Festival organisers were approached by the Latrobe City Council asking if the event could double as a respite day for smoke-affected residents. It was an offer that couldn't be turned down.
I got a call on Tuesday saying that can we handle the people and can we feed them and all those sorts of things, and we said, yeah, well, if we can, and that was no issue.
Community spirit was rife as more than 7,000 people flocked to the small town for the 12th annual Ballara Folk Festival, and there was something for everyone.
Seems it never rains in Southern California.
Key to the event's success is the display of local bands.
We've always tried to get as many Gippslanders or local people in as we can, and we don't sort of shy away from that. We want to try and get as many in, and there's just so much talent in Gippsland.
While the festival is in its 12th year, organisers are confident it will continue to run.
The message from everybody on the weekend was please keep this free and please keep it going, so we're going to do our utmost to do that.
Alexandria Dadzimarkis, Win News.
The operator of the Hazelwood Power Station has broken its silence on the long-running fire at its open-cut mine in Morwell. GDF Suez says it's doing everything it can to put out the fire. It expressed sympathy with nearby residents but wouldn't comment on calls to compensate them.
South Morwell is like a ghost town. 1,000 locals have accepted government funds to get out. This man is about to head to Adelaide.
So the air will be nice and fresh there and a lot better than here.
Peter Slade is sticking around to look after his pets.
I've been here 46 years and this is the quietest I've ever seen it. It's quite surreal.
The authorities continue to monitor air quality, which was clearer today, allowing some people to get outside and clean up.
We've still got to go to work. Where am I going to go? In a tent in the middle of a paddock somewhere with my dog? No, wouldn't work. Wouldn't work.
The mine's operator, GDF Suez, is under pressure to compensate locals and to pay for the firefighting. 3.5 weeks after the fire broke out, it finally fronted the media today.
I can understand that it causes a lot of grief in Morwell. That's why we say we sympathise with the community.
At a community meeting yesterday, there was anger directed at the company and the government. Today, the Premier announced a $2 million fund for small businesses in the area, and he confirmed there will be an inquiry into the fire.
It will be an inquiry that has the power to compel witnesses to collect evidence and to give people the opportunity to have their say.
We have nothing to hide and we will work through with any inquiry that is required from us.
The CFA says it's making good progress, but there are still a number of troubling hotspots, as seen in this infrared footage taken above the mine site. Hot and windy weather is expected midweek, which could set back their efforts. Karen Percy, ABC News.
The Premier and State Opposition Leader have traded barbs over the government's handling of the Morwell smoke haze crisis. Brett McLeod says it comes as latest polling shows Dennis Napthine struggling to make up ground a year after taking over the top job.
For the smoke-choked residents of Morwell, some rare good news on the mine fire fight today.
We are successful, or look to be successful, in the next 7 days to bring this to conclusion.
But the political heat still lingers. Daniel Andrews sniping at the Premier for spending the weekend campaigning for frontbencher Mary Wooldridge rather than hearing from angry locals in Morwell.
I think that speaks volumes for this government's priorities. They're always wrong.
The Premier in Morwell to announce business grants accused Daniel Andrews of politicising the crisis.
Absolutely petty, small-minded and a little bit offensive.
But Dennis Napthine has spot fires of his own to deal with on an uncomfortable anniversary. It's a year since he took over from Ted Baillieu, who quit in large part because of poor polling. In Mr Baillie's last week as Premier, the Coalition was 6 points behind Labor. In today's poll, the figures are closer, but Labor is still in front. And there's speculation Mr Baillie may be pressured to fall on his sword again to make way for Mary Wooldridge.
Everyone just needs to have a bit of a chill and then go back and have conversations and see where that lands.
One bit of timely PR for the Napthine government is confirmation from Formula One boss Bernie Ecclestone that as far as he's concerned, the race is staying in Melbourne for years to come. But the deal hasn't been signed off just yet.
Oh, there's an old saying, the devil's in the detail, and there's a lot of detail for something like a Formula One event.
Brett McLeod, 9 News.
Firefighters are slowly gaining the upper hand on the Hazelwood coal mine blaze, but there are concerns high temperatures and strong winds tomorrow could cause problems. Pipes are being put inside the mine to remove water and help with the firefight. More than 1,000 residents have fled Morwell because of the smoke and ash blanketing the town. Business has dropped by half. The government today announcing grants of up to $10,000 for struggling retailers.
This is targeting small businesses who are directly affected in terms of lost businesses, lost sales, lost activity.
The government will launch an inquiry into the coal mine fire, which has been burning now for 3 weeks.
The government is hoping cash will placate disgruntled business owners in Morwell. On his third visit to the town since the toxic fire crisis, the Premier promised funding to small businesses. Grants of up to $10,000 will be made available.
Whether they're a local hairdresser or the local dress shop, they've emphasised that their turnover is down significantly.
Firefighters are hoping to have the fire out in a week unless tomorrow's high temperatures cause flare-ups.